Hey everybody, it's Malcolm and Daniel from Radon Eraser. We are pleased to have Dr. Wilkes with us. He is one of only two board certified surgical oncologists here in Chattanooga with CHI Memorial. Thank you for the time, sir. We're going to hop right into it, Dr. Justin. As a medical professional, how important is it that somebody should have their house tested for radon?
So I think it's very important. Radon exposure is the second leading cause of lung cancer, and so very prevalent. And I think as far as getting your house screened, there's not it's you can't really discriminate which house is going to be at the highest risk. It could be a new build, an old build. It mostly has to do with where you live and what's coming up through the soil. And I think other than getting your house screened, you can't really predict that. So.
Or do you find that children or adults might be more susceptible to radon gas compared to older adults or the elderly in your trials?
So I'm speaking mostly just theoretically,
Right.
but theoretically, children would be at slightly higher risk because they're taking in more breaths for a smaller body surface area every minute. And then radiation exposure just in general, which is the problem with radon, is
Right.
cumulative over time. So an exposure in your youth can have lasting effects over a lifetime, more so than older folks.
Right. Okay. What symptoms would, like, say someone has high radon exposure in their house? Are there any outlier? Are there any symptoms that they may experience versus if they have low levels of radon?
So I think that's the serious problem with radon. It's not like carbon monoxide or some of these other things where people are going to feel crummy. It's really an asymptomatic exposure, just like other radiations and radiation therapies that you don't know what's happening to you,
Right.
and that's why you don't know that you have it going on in your house unless you get it screened.
We've seen there's a lot of studies, obviously, on smokers versus non-smokers in terms of radon gas and their higher likelihood to get lung cancer. Do you think that there is that correlation of, hey, you're a high smoker, you have a much higher risk, and do non-smokers have zero risk, or do they still have some type of risk?
So I would say they kind of potentiate each other is the most likely answer. I mean, for all cancers that we treat, we know a lot of risk factors, and very rarely can we point to, this risk factor is what led to your cancer. But we know that when people start to add up a couple of risk factors, like say they have a gene mutation and they're a smoker, and then they have multiple episodes of pancreatitis, your risk for pancreatic cancer goes very high. And it'd be the same for lung cancer and smoking and radon exposure. These are causing genetic mutations, and those things tend to potentiate each other.
Right.
So I would say that your risk is probably not just increased by some factor, it's probably increased multiple times.
Right. So we obviously focus on awareness and education, and then obviously the mitigation process to remove it from the home, right? Is there anything that you would want patients to know about radon's role in cancer risk? Is there anything that you see like, hey, this is something to just be looking out for in terms of radon gas? Or is it just kind of, hey, you need to have your house tested potentially for the actual gas?
Well, I think it's just really interesting kind of scientifically, like why it's a risk. And when it's explained to you or explained to people, I think it really starts to sink in. I mean, radon is a breakdown of uranium. So uranium we all know is radioactive. Well, so is radon, and it breaks down. And when it breaks down, it releases alpha particles, beta particles, gamma, and that's what causes DNA damage. What's interesting, though, is that radon's a gas, and the product that it breaks down into is a solid. Lead, some of these other things that continue to release radiation. So when you breathe in that gas, you'd think, oh, I just breathe it back out. Not if it decays in your lungs and becomes a solid, then it sits in your lungs and continues to expose you to radiation. That's what's so interesting about it, and why I think it's a little bit intimidating to think of that as your exposure, that I'm breathing this thing in and then I don't just breathe it back out. It might sit there and continue to decay and release radiation. And for that reason, that's why we'll get our house screened and that sort of thing.
It's pretty powerful. It's
Yeah.
pretty powerful stuff for sure. So I know that you do you have a robotic assisted technology that you use in surgeries. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's the main robot that most people use in this country is made by Intuitive. The robot's called Da Vinci. I use it mostly for GI cancer surgeries, so pancreas, liver, colorectal, that sort of thing. We've had great results. I mean, you're not really changing necessarily the course of the cancer all the time, but pretty rapid recovery. Pretty precision because you're right on top of the tumors with your camera, that sort of thing, with these fine instruments. For lung cancer, if we're talking about radon, the new technologies and the kind of the updates and the stuff that we're doing, lung cancer screening has become a really big deal. It's approved for smokers. Those things are covered maybe for radon someday as well. We even have our mobile bus. So we have a bus with a CT scanner that travels around and does CT scans. I think they did over 3,000 last year, caught a lot of early cancers. The other thing that it is cool. The other thing they're doing with the robot is they have a special robot that Dr. Badra, our interventional pulmonologist, and Dr. Hedrick, our thoracic surgeon, use that's paired with a CT scanner that allows them to do a bronchoscopy.
Okay.
So that's a camera that goes down your mouth and into your lungs, and it's paired with your CT scan, or they can even do a CT scan in the OR and target small nodules to biopsy.
Wow.
And probably treat sometimes.
Wow.
So that's kind of where technology is going.
Right.
So this machine, are you right on top of it, or is it just like all computerized, or like, I just imagine like a futuristic movie where you're in another room and you're just doing this surgery.
You could be. So you could theoretically do that. So we put ports in the abdomen. So we and then we hook up the instruments to it, and then all of that is connected to a large boom. That's what the true robotics part is. That the boom is connected to the arms, and the arms move based on me sitting in the corner on this machine and controlling it with my fingers, and there's foot pedals. It's kind of like playing an organ where you're like,
wow.
yeah.
That's
So
pretty fun.
it is pretty cool. Yeah.
So I know we're kind of we've talked about it a lot, but just from a purely medical perspective, how important is it for someone to have their house tested for radon gas?
So I think for some cancer perspective, radon-associated lung cancer is the second most common sort of lung cancer after smoking-associated, obviously. But if you separated radon-associated lung cancer out as its own cancer and cancer-related death, it would still be its own top 10 cancer-related death in the United States, more so than prostate, melanoma, ovarian. So if you think those cancers are serious, this should obviously be high on your list as well.
Right.
Now, this isn't something you're necessarily going to screen yourself for. Instead, you screen your house, and you've taken away that risk factor for yourself. But yeah, I think it's a very serious thing and relatively easy to do and get done for your house. And there's mitigation systems, so it's not like you just screen and you better move. There's things you can do for it. So yeah.
Right. Awesome.
Well, Dr. Justin, it's our job to bring education to the area, because being in the South, a lot of people don't even believe in it. So we thank you for your time, and you've broken it down more than I've even heard it.
Yep, it's very good. Yeah,
so thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
That's it.